Here is the 2025 Mazda CX-70 3.3 Turbo S Premium in jet black over black Nappa leather. This is all new this year off the same CX-90. It's just you're losing a third row seat. You're actually gaining more cargo capacity, the same powertrain. Is this going to be better than the rivals? I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm gonna go over the pros and cons, the problem that I have, and what you're getting between the different trims, starting with 8.1 inches of clearance, whereas when you go into the preferred, you will have 8 inches of clearance. Standard LED headlights, daytime runnings. Once you go into the premium trim, it adds signature daytime runnings. Integrating into the enlarged mesh gloss black grille, and all of the chrome is going to be blacked out when you get into the CX-70 opposed to the CX-90, so it distinguishes the difference between the two. And the premium will add the 360-degree reverse camera front and rear parking sensors, and underneath the hood receives the eSky Active G, which is a 48-volt mild hybrid technology, 3.3 liter inline 6-cylinder turbocharged, producing 340 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque, paired to a Sky Active 8-speed automatic transmission, achieving 23 mpgs for the city, 28 mpgs for the highway. And when you're considering standard all-wheel drive, none of the rivals, whether you're considering Lexus, Lincoln, Infiniti, Acura, even bumping up to BMW, Audi, and Mercedes, will have this. 21-inch wheels is the biggest set that you'll get on the CX-70. It starts as a 19-inch wheel, and you'll have two different color configuration between the premium and going into the S Turbo. Inline 6 badging will be standard on all trims with the integrated turn signals on the side view mirrors. Bumping up to the premium will add power folding side view mirrors, standard panel moonroof, and the gloss black will be on the roof rails. You'll receive the shark fin antenna when you go into the premium trim. The lower skirt and all the window trims will get the gloss black elements. And when you're going back to the competition, going into a 4-cylinder, this is an inline 6 turbocharged. You can get a PHEV here, and if you do not option the S trim, your horsepower is going to decrease to 280 with 332 pound-feet of torque. Going into the preferred trim, which is the base, will also lower your towing to 3,500 pounds. Going into the premium and every trim otherwise is at 5,000 pounds, which leads me to the problem that I have is the configuration of the trims. Get this in a premium trim level, which is around 46 grand, give or take. And you can get nearly all the same features as this, except you're not going to get the performance to it because you will bump up in horsepower and torque whenever you go into the S trims. Standard combination LED taillights. The lower will get the matte black inserts, hidden exhaust outlets, and because this is the Turbo S, I would have liked to see a dual exhaust outlet setup because it would keep that performance vibe, especially considering of the wide profile and the stance that it gives for the front and the rear. And the kinematic posture control, which is found in the Miata, that helps keep the car planted by just simply using the braking system whenever you're taking corners with a standard power liftgate. Going into 39.6 cubic feet, it does sit up a little bit, but it's to be expected because of the clearance. You have a storage nook here, 12-volt charger which starts on the premium trim, which will give you more cargo capacity underneath. You can split fold the rear bench at a 60-40 split, maxing the cargo to 75.3 cubic feet, which is over 1 cubic feet more than the CX-90. Ten-way power seat adjustment starts on the premium trim. 8-way power seat adjustment for the passenger. The premium also adds the ventilated heated front seats, will be standard memory for the driver. Headroom and leg room. The new CX-70 is going to have a lot of interior space because it's more or less a CX-90 with 2 rows. The dashboard layout is going to be a lot more luxurious because of that design, and it starts off with a heads-up display that starts on the premium trim. 12.3 information display. It's non-touch. Navigation starts on the premium trim. You have to use the rotary knob, and you have buttons that will indicate to take you to the home and to your sound system. Standard Alexa built-in HD radio. The premium trim will add a Sirius XM, and wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. Put it into reverse and you have a 360-degree reverse camera full trajectory for the front and the rear. Plus, you can change to make it a little bit more wide. 8 speakers is standard. 12 speakers Bose starts on the premium trim. You have the leatherette on the dashboard here with the contrast stitching. Standard tri-climate control settings. Wireless charging pad is standard with a 12 volt right next to it. Aluminum mesh inserts that opens up so you can see the key fob for this new CX-70. Leather around the shifter and the steering wheel. It's heated multi-function with the paddle shifts. A 7-inch gauge cluster is going to be standard. Once you go up to the premium trim, you can get the 12.3 digital reader that can go through an array of information for the driver. And when you change the MI driving modes, it will change out the layout. Soft to touch where it needs to be. Opens up as a 2-part. 2 USB ports, and you got a little bit of storage. The dashboard and door panels configuring together with the aluminum mesh insert look that goes into the air vents on both sides. Auto dimming rear view mirror will start on the premium trim, as well as adding the light for the vanity. A large pano moonroof. And you're gonna have soft materials everywhere where it needs to be. One touch up and down for the windows with a long storage pocket and a beverage holder carved out. For the back seats, headroom and leg room. The seats, you can move them forward or adjust them backwards with storage behind both of the front seats. Third climate control setting, heated rear seat starts on the premium trim. Air vents, USB ports, cup holders with a long armrest, and you can also recline these seats back, which makes it a little bit more comfortable on a long journey. Manual sunshades start on the premium trim, and you have the same style door panel as the front, and it's also a little bit longer, so it emphasizes how long the vehicle is, with a long storage pocket with about 3 beverage holders carved out. Sliding into the center, the floor isn't completely flat. You could put your feet here in the center, but doing so, your legs and knees are going to be up in the air. So I would just suggest sharing a little bit of feet space because it's still a wide vehicle, but leg and shoulder space is not going to be an issue. Headroom sitting into the center starts becoming a little bit more so, but because of the pano, it's not that much of an issue. 340 horsepower with 369 pound-feet of torque. The inline 6-cylinder turbocharge is really where it's at, because in this segment, it is kind of in between different models, whether you're thinking Lexus or Acura, in which if you go to an RX Lexus, which is comparable to this, you're not going to receive a 6-cylinder. And when you bump it up to an F-Sport handling package, you're going to be near 60 grand. So you're starting to see the value there. Acura, they don't even have something that's going to be over 300 horsepower, plus it's in 4-cylinder as well. So giving that much power to this vehicle goes into the next class with BMW, Audi, and Mercedes, in which it's going to be the least in horsepower, but 369 pound-feet of torque is quite a bit. Plus, it has the most cargo capacity in class compared to anybody. And even if you're thinking about Infiniti, you would have to go up to like the QX-60, in which that doesn't even have 300 horsepower, and this is a turbocharged engine, so it's going to have more performance. It's not going to be as quiet as some of the rivals, but the seat comfort is good. Plus you got power seat adjustment for everybody in the front. Turn radius, it's a little bit of a long vehicle, still gets about 2 lanes. Let's rock and roll. There is a little bit of hesitation. It does feel heavy depending on what driving mode that you're in. So if you put it into sport mode, it will liven it up a little bit. That was just in normal mode, so that way you can see some of the turbo lag. And now we have it engaged in sport mode, so you can see the difference between the two. And another thing to point out is you're getting great clearance, standard all-wheel drive, a heads-up display. When you're thinking just a touch over $50,000, that's a huge bargain, because normally in this class, it goes into the $60,000 rim pretty quick, especially if you start going into more premium like BMW, Audi, and Mercedes. Those can tick easy into the $70,000, $80,000 price point, and you're getting performance here. Check it out. little bit more quick off the line. Upgraded wheels, I don't feel too much of the imperfections, which is good for that suspension layout. Taking it up on the interstate. And just put it into normal driving mode so that way you can hear the difference. Road noise does come in a little bit more so. Now that's going to take me to some pros and cons. Starting off with the pros is when you get into the premium trim, you pretty much unlock everything you need, and then you're getting such a bargain deal. Now when you go into the Turbo S, you're getting the performance. So if you're okay with losing 60 horsepower, you'll still have the same towing capabilities plus the pano, plus you'll still have a power lift gate and the best cargo in class. On top of that, you're getting over 1 cubic feet of storage more than the CX-90, and you're still getting the adjustable seats for the second row with manual sunshades. Some of the competition don't even offer sunshades for the second row. You're going to hear the exhaust note in the engine pretty much throughout the drive of the vehicle. And it drives very similar to the CX-90, which it should because it's off the same platform. Taking me to some cons, this is basically the CX-90 without a third row seat. It would have been nice to have that option last year. I like that they're giving it to us this year, but then when you're thinking about features, this night and day becomes a better deal than the CX-90 if you're not needing a third row. Another con for me is some of the materials they use, you can tell it's not as premium as the car should be at the segment level that it is. I would have liked to have actual real aluminum inlays instead of the plastic inserts, especially in the center cluster. I like the dashboard layout, but then we're not receiving a touchscreen infotainment, which everybody in its class will have that unless you're going into an MDX, but then that's a third row, which should be more comparable to the CX-90. For maneuverability, the steering has a little bit of play to it. It is also comparable to a Jeep Cherokee, which I feel this is going to be more so towards the premium side where the Jeep is going to be a little bit more rugged. I like the Grand Cherokee, and you can also get that as an option for a third row going into the L. But then when you start looking at the price segment, it starts going into a 70 grand price really quick. So hands down, Mazda has put itself as a premium vehicle, giving you a lot more amenities than anybody in its class and going to the next level, putting it against BMW, Audi, and Mercedes. But let me know what you think in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank Mazda of Clearwater for giving us this 2025 Mazda CX-70 for our car review.